All right, so today we're diving headfirst into something that's really got everyone talking, AI. And it's not just the techies, right? AI is everywhere you look these days. It's this what if that has us all kind of wondering, what the future holds, especially when it comes to work and jobs. We found this really interesting YouTube video from the Money GPS titled, If AI Takes All the Jobs, Who Will Buy the Stuff? And it really gets you thinking. So they basically jump right into this whole thing about corporations. Like there's this intense pressure to automate everything. Like yesterday, it's almost like they're caught in this whirlwind of automate or die.
Yeah, and what I find really interesting about that is it kind of shows you how a lot of companies, especially these publicly traded ones, how they operate these days. It's all about the short term, right? It's all about impressing those shareholders, hitting those
Sure.
quarterly profit targets. And sometimes I think the bigger picture, the long game, kind of takes a back seat.
Right. It's like you're on this treadmill that just keeps speeding up. You got to hit those immediate targets, even if it means maybe, like not really thinking about what those decisions mean down the road.
Exactly. And in that rush, you get decisions being made that prioritize speed over everything else.
Yeah.
Like, are we really taking the time to think about the long-term implications of mass automation, or are we just hitting the go button because it's the fastest way to the next earnings report?
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's like we're so focused on the robots making all the stuff that we kind of forget that someone still needs to buy it, right? And speaking of buying the Money GPS video, they point out something really interesting. They say that not all consumers are created equal when it comes to this whole AI disruption thing.
Absolutely. They make this really interesting distinction between what they call everyday consumers and the luxury market. And it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Like people who are buying essentials, groceries, toothpaste, cleaning supplies, that need is always going to be there. It doesn't really matter how much AI shakes things up, right?
Right, like the robots might be making our burgers, but they're still going to need ketchup.
Precisely.
Now, on the other hand, you've got businesses that cater to, the very wealthy and their customer base, their buying power. It's not really tied to whether the average person has a job or not, is it?
That's exactly it. They're playing on a whole different field.
So you're saying like those luxury car dealerships, those high-end boutiques, they might not even feel a blip if there's some massive AI-driven job loss.
It's entirely possible. And it really makes you wonder what other products or services might become almost like recession-proof in an economy that's driven more and more by AI. What kind of businesses could actually thrive in that environment?
Yeah, those are some really interesting questions. It's like we're on the verge of this whole new economic landscape and we're just starting to figure out the lay of the land.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe there are some amazing opportunities out there that we haven't even thought of yet. It's definitely a lot to unpack. But we're just getting started, so let's take a quick break and come back to this in a bit. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this too. What do you think about AI's impact on jobs and the economy? Hit us up on social media and let us know. We'll be right back after this.
It's kind of like this strange paradox. We've got all this incredible potential with AI, like we could be living in a world of abundance. But then there's this other side. Like, what if a huge chunk of the population ends up without jobs? Who's going to be able to buy all the stuff the robots are making if nobody can afford it?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it's something that the Money GPS really dives into, this idea of economic evolution. Like, we can't just keep doing things the way we always have and expect everything to magically work out.
Right. It's like expecting to win a car race with a horse and buggy. Exactly. The video really emphasizes the need to be proactive, both individually and as a society. They talk about the importance of things like developing secondary income streams, constantly learning new skills. It's not just about having a job anymore. It's about having a versatile skill set that can adapt to whatever comes next.
It's funny you should mention that because just the other day I was talking to a friend of mine. They work in landscaping, of all things. You wouldn't think robots would be coming for their job anytime soon, right?
Yeah.
But they were saying how their company's already experimenting with AI-powered lawnmowers and irrigation systems and stuff.
Wow. You see, that's a perfect example of what we're talking about. It's not just factory workers or data entry clerks who need to be thinking about this. It's everyone. The very nature of work is changing, and I think the key takeaway from the Money GPS is that we have to change with it.
So what can people actually do? I mean, it's easy to say learn new skills, but where do you even start?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. It's not just about learning to code, although that's definitely valuable. It's about cultivating those uniquely human skills that AI can't replicate. Creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, emotional intelligence. These are the skills that will be in high demand.
So we need to double down on what makes us human.
Exactly.
It's almost like the money GPS is saying, look, the future is uncertain, but instead of freaking out, focus on building yourself up. Make yourself adaptable and valuable no matter what crazy stuff happens.
Absolutely. It's about being proactive, not reactive. It's about investing in your own human capital so you're ready to thrive no matter what the future holds. What about you? What are you passionate about? Are there any skills you've always wanted to learn or develop?
It's like they're saying, hey, don't be scared, get excited.
Right. It's so easy to get stuck on that whole robots are taking over thing.
Yeah.
But there's another side to it, you know?
Yeah.
What if AI could actually help us solve problems like climate change or poverty?
Yeah, what if instead of competing with AI, we worked with it?
Exactly. Imagine what we could accomplish. That's the real opportunity here, using AI to make things better for everyone.
So it's not humans versus machines, it's humans and machines working together.
Exactly.
That's a really different way of thinking about it.
And it starts with conversations like this, asking questions, understanding AI. The more we know, the better we can navigate this and create a future that works for everyone.
So it's not just about new skills, it's a whole new mindset, right? Curiosity, adaptability, even optimism.
I love that. The future isn't set in stone. It's what we make it. What kind of world do you want to live in? What role do you want to play?
Wow, those are some big questions. I think that's a good place to leave it for today. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. And remember, the future isn't something to fear, it's something to shape.